This is my third edition sharing with you challenges which women face on a daily basis. It's also my third edition where I'm celebrating South African women who are making a difference in their society. I must say, this has been very exciting for me because I managed to share with you some of the things that I've been dying to share with you. So please join me in this video where I'll be sharing with you some awesome tips which I think every single mom should know. Well, even every single parent should know. And as always, I'll showcase some of the amazing work which two South African women are doing in their communities. Hey peeps! Firstly, I'd like to welcome you back to my channel, and secondly, I'd like to take this time to thank you all for subscribing to my channel. I truly appreciate you being part of my journey in creating unity and change in society. Like, honestly speaking, your support and loyalty doesn't go unnoticed. And if this is your first time here, a very warm welcome. My name is Amma, and I am on a journey to instill the unity that I feel is missing in society, a journey where I would like to increase our standards of humanity. So please consider joining me on this journey by subscribing to my channel, and please don't forget to turn your post notifications to all. You know, the way we raise our children impacts greatly on the type of individuals they will be when they grow older. And given that there's so many bad things happening around the world, as parents or as a parent, you really don't want your children to be part of those bad things or to contribute towards those bad things. Also considering the fact that modern society, or should I say the fourth industrial revolution, puts so much pressure on us and it puts very high demands on its people. And I'm sure it's every parent's dream that their children are able to cope with these demands. So I'd like to share tips for single moms on how they can easily equip their children to survive in this world. And I'm sure the very same tips can work for single dads too. But before I jump into the tips, I'd like to share with you guys that a part of what I think these tips are definitely going to work is because they are from other single moms. So these are tips from other single moms, including myself. So, tip number 1, never take your frustrations on your children. But again, this can be a bit difficult to do. So I think the best way to avoid taking your frustrations on your children is to do tip number 2, which is to find peace within yourself and forgive yourself. This is very important because the more you are hard on yourself, the more you become frustrated. And with this frustration, I tell you, it rubs off on your children without you knowing it. And remember, the idea is to raise children that are less frustrated so that they're able to contribute positively to society. So please don't ever let them get used to negative environments. Tip number 3 is to take good care of yourself. You know, it can be very difficult. Actually, I think it is impossible to look after someone or look after your child or look after your children when you haven't taken care of yourself. Because to care for someone, you need strength, you need motivation, you need love. And so how do you extend that to someone else if you don't have the strength, you don't have the motivation, you don't have the love to do so? So first, take the time to look after yourself, and this will allow you to care for someone else. I'll give an example here. You know, when you're on an airplane, they will tell you that first, in case of emergency, first you need to put on your mask first. So once you have your mask securely on, then you can easily be able to put on the mask on your children or your neighbor or anyone else because you are fit enough to do the work. So just remember that. Tip number 4, never badmouth your child's father to your child. I mean, even if the father is a total piece of, there is no need for you to badmouth him to your child or your children, because this will send negative vibes to your children, and this will also create angry children. As they grow older, they'll become so angry and they'll be these angry human beings. And remember, the goal is to shy away from having frustrated children who will grow up into these frustrated individuals. So just bear that in mind. Talking about positive vibes, tip number 5 is about choosing happiness and peace, because this is the only way that you'll be able to create a happy and safe environment for your children. You want to distance yourself from people that are full of negativity, because this way you will then allow your children to grow up into happy people, and they will be able to understand that with positive thinking anything is possible. Tip number 6. Don't hide the fact that you're a mother to your boyfriend or to your potential boyfriend or partner. The last thing you want is to find out that a person that has interest in you is not really so keen in dating a person with a child. So you want to be upfront with these people and let them know that you're a mother and that you're very proud to be a mom, and that if they are to love you, they will love you knowing that you're a mom, and they'll also love your child or your children. Tip number 7. Be mindful of how you introduce your partner or your boyfriend to your children. The thing is, you don't want to rush to introducing your boyfriend to your children. You want to take the time to know this person. The main reason for this is that you don't want a situation where your children are now in love with this boyfriend, or that they get attached to this person, and then only to realize that you guys don't really click and that you don't really see the future with this person, and then things end up not working between you two, and then your children are already attached. This is not good for their mental well-being. But maybe another mom will say, well, I'll just introduce my boyfriend to my children as a friend. I don't have to tell my children that he's dating me. Well, you can do that, but be careful on how many men you are introducing to your children. Even if you don't introduce him or you don't introduce them as a boyfriend, and you just introduce them as friends, still be very mindful and be very careful. You can't always be introducing different men to your children, because remember, these children are learning, and that children are very smart. Whatever that you're doing, they are learning, and you're kind of like setting an example for them. And so one day they will grow up and do exactly what you're doing. So I'll give you an example here. You find a situation where your child will start dating, and then you say, okay, that's fine, but then I want you to be very careful and not change girls or boys all the time. But then you'll be surprised that he'll probably just look at you and ignore you, or maybe he'll actually voice out what he's thinking, and you'll be like, but mom, who are you to tell me this? Because you did just that. You were changing boys all the time, and you introduced me to different men all the time. So why can't I introduce you to different girls all the time? So we need to be very careful on how we deal with this situation. Tip number 8, have some sort of investment for your children, just to make sure that financially they're not going to struggle. This is very important, because this nowadays, almost everything that you have to do requires money. And so let's say they want to enhance their skills just so that they can survive this changing world, then these skills, I tell you, they don't come free. They require a certain amount of cost. Tip number 9, teach your children to be responsible. This will help them to develop essential life skills. Skills which will not only help them later in life when they go to college or university, but these skills will also help you as a single parent. This is because they will be able to help you when you need the help most. For example, you want your children to be able to make you a cup of tea and bring you a packet of cookies when you're not feeling well. Also, let's say people have to help you look after your children. You don't want people to always hesitate when they have to think of having your children over. You want them to actually be happy knowing that these are responsible children that are coming, and that they will also be able to clean after themselves. You don't want your children to come out as a burden to people. You also want to make sure that your children will help you in case of emergency. Let's say you're very, very sick that you are unable to even call an ambulance for yourself. You want your children to be able to help you in that sense, where they can be able to call an ambulance for you. So make sure that you have emergency numbers somewhere visibly displayed in the house, or that your children, if they're old enough to have cell phones, make sure that they have emergency numbers on their speed dial. And tip number 10, have a support structure. You need a support system, people who you can genuinely trust, people who you can rely on. In as much as you feel like you can be a super mom or that you're a super mom, you are a human being at the end of the day, and therefore you do require some sort of help. If you have to create a single moms club where maybe one night one of you guys will look after the children while others go out and have fun, let it be. So be very careful as a single mom when selecting people that are gonna join your single moms club. You want people that will genuinely support you to a point Where they won't see the need to do what I spoke about 2 weeks ago, I'll put the video to this over here, and I'll also put it in the description below. And the other thing to consider when choosing a support system as a single mom, you want people that will make you feel comfortable. People that won't force you to do something that you don't really believe in. Like, for example, I released a video last week talking about how society seems to put so much pressure on women just because there's this social norms that every woman is ought to follow. And so if you're against those norms, then you need people who will understand that you're against them and that they won't force you to go against your will. So a bonus tip from me is that spend as much quality time as you possibly can with your children. This is the best gift you can ever give them. Now I'd like you to please listen to this voice note from a single mom who I feel has nicely summarized some of the tips that I've mentioned in here.
You, as a single parent or a single mom, you need to show your love to your child and trying to set aside time to spend with your child, supporting them with their homework or just spending quality time with them, and also just finding time to sit with your child, to just listen to your child. Sometimes our children have things to say to us and we feel like we always feel like we're overwhelmed, and because we're single parents, but we don't have time or we're busy. But I feel like you need to make a conscious decision to find time to spend with, try and have a support system. It can be friends, can be other single moms, it can be your family, it can be like someone you really trust, just for a support system. I feel like that helps you like to stay on top of things. You're not supposed to feel guilty to a point where you blame yourself, and you also try and make up for it by spoiling your child because you feel bad for being a single parent. And also to remember that even for children with both their parents, they still get sometimes they still don't get a lot of their parents' attention. Sometimes both the parents are busy and they don't even get to see them. So it's not just you as a single mom, because I know with single parents they always feel like, oh, it's because I'm a single mom, that's why my child maybe that's why this is happening. But it can also happen to kids that have both parents. Sometimes just being honest with your child when you're having a difficult time. So this will depend on how old your child is. You'd rather just tell the truth that, oh, baby, we're really having a hard time, but don't worry, it's not the end of the world. Things will get better, and obviously you will give your child an appropriate level of responsibility, or like depending on their age, of course, so that the child doesn't feel overwhelmed or stressed. Because I've noticed, especially with my son, he can see when I'm stressed or when I'm under pressure.
There you have it. So if you have any tips you would like to share with other single moms or other single parents, please be so kind and leave that in the comment section below. Let us help each other because we are stronger together. Now let us shift our attention and celebrate 2 women who are making a difference in society. Firstly, I would like to introduce Mrs. Yasmin Gaibie. She believes in what I strongly believe in, and that is talking and sharing your experiences with someone can totally do wonders in your life, especially if you're experiencing challenges.
Hi everyone, happy Women's Month. My name is Yasmin Gaibie and I am a trauma, anxiety and relationship therapist. I work using plant medicine and alternative therapies to facilitate healing. I also volunteer for an organization called Lifeline Western Cape, an organization I'm extremely passionate about. Lifeline offers free telephonic services as well as face-to-face counseling to anyone, whether you need to talk about anything, whether you're experiencing some emotional trauma, something significant happening to you, or just a chat. You can call at any time and we have trained counselors ready to hear you. I feel Women's Month is a perfect opportunity to reflect on where we have come as women. I mean, my narrative being an Indian Muslim female in South Africa was that of a married woman, have kids and settle down. This idea of settling down, I think, is what we as women need to challenge, because we buy into that narrative that we should settle, and wanting more is almost unholy and becomes uncomfortable and when we yearn and then aim for more. So I bought into that narrative. I got married, had 4 kids, and did what I thought I was supposed to do. There came a time when I started questioning this narrative, and I felt I could be more. So I began studying psychology at the age of 36 after my 4th child was born. It was a challenging space. People would ask me, what's the point? You're going to be so old when you're done. You're taking this time away from your children. I confess to struggling with these thoughts and notions every milestone I reached, and sometimes, often actually, get asked as to why being married and having children isn't enough. It is enough. It is enough for one part of me. This part fulfills me deeply, but that's just one part of me. And just to realize and to finally forgive myself for allowing the other parts to start showing itself, the ambitious and driven side, and not dim that light, because it arouses fear and discomfort in others. This degree that was empowered me the opportunity to really have an impact in society, working together with Lifeline Western Cape to bring awareness to mental health, and that there are people like myself and organizations that operate for free so that we can serve within our capacity towards the greater good, making healing in South Africa a priority to help heal one soul at a time. So this Women's Day, I really want to champion and acknowledge every single woman. I want to nudge you in conspiracy at the grocery store. I want to wink at you in our business meetings. I want to show you that you're on the same side, that we need each other, that affirmation from another woman is far more valuable than you can understand, because we are aware of the struggle. So I champion you, and I say to you, stir up the feminine warrior energy this month. Have an amazing day. Thank you.
A few weeks ago, I released a video on xenophobic attacks that always happen here in South Africa. I'll put a link to this video in the description box below. I actually suggested that in order to reduce these attacks from happening, we ought to give a listening ear and just find out from the people behind these attacks what's causing them to be so frustrated. So it's totally true. Talking and sharing your experiences with someone can surely make a difference in your life. So here is to Mrs. Yasmin Gaibie for her amazing work on this. Mrs. Gaibie also spoke about 2 things that are very close to my heart. And firstly is the issue of how a woman must make sure that she empowers herself, regardless of what society is saying. And the second thing is that women need to learn to support each other more, and this is how we can be more successful. Now I would like to introduce Miss Linah Thovhala, who is making sure that children receive their right to safety, and at the same time she's also creating job opportunities.
So the reason I started the school kids transport is because I realized that most kids were stranded alone in the mornings going to school without their parents accompanying them or even an elder. When I did my research, I found out that most parents do not have money to pay for their kids' transport or even have the time to walk them to school because they had to be at work early. It started when I was transporting my son to school, and I would give those kids a lift. One child led to the next, and the next led to the next, and eventually I realized that there was a need for school transport. That's when I decided to buy a school bus to transport them. And having done that, I know that I can put food on the table in 2 families, because I have 2 full-time employees for my bus, and I also know that these kids can get to school safe, and they do get to school safe without having been reported missing or raped. I have 2 types of kids in my transport. One of them are those who can pay, whose parents can actually afford, and the other group is those who cannot afford. As much as it's every child's rights to get education or to education, it's also every child's right to get to school safe, no matter what the circumstances are, no matter what the family is going through, or if they can afford the transport or not. So I have also given those that cannot afford an opportunity to have their kids get to school and have the education which was deemed to be free by the government. I would just like to put it out there that you can be the change that you want to see. Anything that you do, however big or small, it can make a difference to someone's life. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter how you do it. You can make a change in somebody's life.
I am sure you'll agree with me that in order for a child to concentrate and understand the work that is being taught to him or her in class, a lot of factors have to be considered. And one of these factors include the way this child moves from her home or his home to get to school every single day. So, here is to Miss Linah Thovhala for ensuring that children get to school safely and that their learning is not impacted by this. And also, I would like to congratulate her for contributing to the creation of jobs in South Africa. If you have enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and I'll highly appreciate it if you can join my subscribers list and be part of the Unity and Change team by simply subscribing to my channel. Until Amma and Peeps meet again next week Saturday on another Women's Month edition. Bye!